Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Thank you for tuning in to our Cogito AMA. Cogito Protocol, of course, is our brand new concept, our tracer coin from the SingularityNET powerhouse of crypto, AI, and general taking over the world with technology. I'm really proud to work with this incredible team here at Cogito. I am the COO of SingularityNet, and I'm also the COO of Cogito. And this has been one of the great experiences of 2023, watching how this project has grown an incredibly talented team, gone from strength to strength, released so many products, and Cloris is going to tell us all about all of the achievements, as well as getting ready for our TGE. So first off, I'd like to introduce you to the super talent that is running Cogito. Our team here with us today, Dr. Ben Gertzel will be here shortly as well. He'll drop in and say hi, but we're going to get going introducing the team. So I'll start with our CEO, Cloris. Cloris and I worked together at HSBC. She was incredibly impressive there. You always wonder when someone comes out of corporate world into the fast-paced world of startup, how they're going to cope. But she's taken everything in her stride and sets all new standards in drive, in leadership, in sheer darn grit in getting the job done. So, Cloris, please, would you introduce yourself? Tell us about your background, a little about your background and your skills, and why you are super excited for Cogito.
Thank you, Janet, for hosting. Hello, everyone. This is Clarice. I'm the CEO of Cogito Protocol. As Janet mentioned already, I come from banking background. I used to work in HSBC for 6 years, managing the corporate business. And I have been in crypto for quite a long time, actually, but I only started to get really involved since the since DeFi took off. That was when I realized that, all this product building on DeFi are the products that I'm very familiar with in finance, and they are injected by code. So it's super fascinating. And Janet brought me to Cogito protocol, the whole idea of a decentralized stablecoin that is not pegged to fiat, and having AI backed is a great invention by Dr. Ben Gersel, the greatest mind of SingularityNet, of course. And I am here to, deliver the product to the industry. And I'm super, super proud that we have the best team in the entire space, which you guys will meet one by one. So without further ado, I will introduce Tony as our VP of Engineering. Tony, after you, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tony. I lead the engineering effort here, and really excited to kind of dive into the DeFi space. I built a lot of crypto projects in the past. I worked maybe 15 years in engineering and building all sort of applications, machine learning applications, in different capacities. Yeah, so definitely excited to be on the team and then kind of see where we build another 0 to 1 product. Yeah.
Tony, it's fantastic to have you here. Tell us a little about your background. What were you doing before joining Cogito?
Yeah, I was doing mainly machine learning applications at one of the big tech companies. I was doing a bit of hedge fund. I started a hedge fund before, and I used to work on some banking technologies and trading softwares too. Yeah.
So a highly accomplished background, and it's a brilliant coup for us to have attracted you here to Cogito Protocol and SingularityNet. How do you find the transition from big tech to dynamic, rapidly scaling and growing startup?
Yeah, I think we delivered a lot just in a short period of time. There's, a prototype already built just in like, a couple of weeks. So I'm definitely excited to see the fast pace. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. It's incredible to meet you. It's our first time meeting, and I'm honored and proud to work with you on this amazing project. So welcome to Cogito Protocol and bringing your own highly accomplished technology and finance background to the project. As Clara said, we're surely the most talented team in the DeFi space. So next, I'd like to introduce you all to Nate. Nate is our lead financial analyst and AI engineer and has been with the project more or less since the beginning, as well as having worked with SingularityNET and Ben Gertzel for a number of years. Nate, would you like to introduce yourself, a little about your background and what you're most excited by?
Sure. Thanks. My background is in quantitative finance and financial mathematics, and I've been working on e-commerce, big e-commerce company before I learned about new project of SingularityNET, where I also helped with the financial model and then with some other stuff that was to do with SingularityNET right at the time when it was launched. So I've been in crypto space since roughly 2017. My passion is in general DeFi. Decentralized finance is like a new type of finance that is basically owned and done for the people, and this is quite exciting. It's not owned by, it's not basically controlled by only a few points in the world, which traditional finance, if you want to go like really deep in it, is. And this is why new products there are very important to make it grow. We are making Tracer Coin right now. So Tracer Coins, there will be a new type of coins which will be stable, but in a sense that they're not backed to anything existing, and which means that DeFi will finally have its own stable coin. At the beginning, it was just Bitcoin, but Bitcoin actually failed as that because it was too volatile. And now we are like fixing this a bit differently than other projects did, because other projects just back to either fiat or commodities and similar stuff. So it's quite an innovative way and very exciting to see it play out. It has quite a lot of advantages besides like having like a small and predictable appreciation, also uncorrelatedness with the general markets and similar stuff. And this is what we're working on. I'm mostly concerned with risk management behind it and how to employ the assets and stability and stuff, similar stuff to this. So that's shortly about me.
Thanks so much, Nate, and congratulations for all of the in-depth stress testing and financial models that you've been building. You've given us a very, very solid financial risk management foundation from which to launch the project. And particularly risk management, of course, is very close to my heart. I've come from a risk background in banking, working in both credit risk and regulatory risk. So we have really some of the best minds here developing the most advanced tools using the most advanced technologies. So last but not least for this round of introductions, I'm extremely honored. It's our first time in the call together as well. Clarice has been building her team fast over the last few weeks. Pin, welcome to Cogito Protocol. Welcome to the SingularityNET ecosystem. It's a joy and a pleasure to have you here. Please tell us a little bit about you, your background, what you uniquely bring to the Cogito project, and what you're most excited by, the opportunities coming up.
Sure. So, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So, Ben here. I'm the CMO of Cogito. I think this has been my honor to be introduced by so many talented people in the Cogito team and SingularityNET as well. I think a little bit of my background. I've been in marketing for the past 17, 18 years. Only recently, past 3-4 years, touched crypto, went into the crypto industry. So with Binance and looking at the exchange side, BNB Chain. And then prior to that, I was working with some notable startups. I mean, if you've heard of them, like Grab, which has succeeded now being listed on the New York Stock Exchange. So I think my whole life has been really in excitement and really in hyper growth stage, really cycling around building startups and businesses from 0 to 1. So I possibly loved and addicted to the kind of growth, the hype, and the excitement, and ultimately, I think the satisfaction of growing together hand in hand with pioneer team members. I think to create successful businesses. So I think that is a little bit about my history. So I think for me, I've seen a lot happen in the crypto recently. The crashing of stablecoin UST. and also what in terms of the confidence being hit. So that's why I think one thing that really that really hit me was there have to be something to be done. So the development of the solution that Cogito have, like stablecoin as a service, I think is really exciting. I think combining like AI with crypto technology, it is like a dream come true. Where I think where it is only I think 2 to 3 years back you could possibly only think about AI, but can't see the connection between AI and crypto. But now Cogito is possibly bringing that, and SingularityNET is also assisting in bringing all these things becoming a reality. So I think my goal here and challenge is to ultimately achieve a mass adoption, which for me over the past years in my career, I've been hit with a number of challenges, especially when I go into new businesses. The challenge will be always how to change consumers' mindset, how to achieve mass adoption of new businesses where people don't even know about your brand, where you are starting from zero. So I think those are my goals and achievements that I hope to achieve in Cogito. Yeah.
Well, we're very, very lucky to have you here with your incredible experience from startups to major players like Binance, your scaling experience, and it's absolutely spot on what you're saying about reaching mass critical adoption pin. And it's a real pleasure to have you here. Thanks for joining. And we also have our chief scientist, our CEO of SingularityNET, and chief scientist of Cogito Protocol, Ben Goertzel, Dr. Ben Goertzel. Good morning, Ben. I'm sure nobody watching this AMA needs you to introduce yourself. Yet I'm going to ask you anyway to just briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your inspiration for Cogito Protocol and what you're most excited by.
Sure thing. Thanks a lot, Janet. And I have covered this a few times before, so I'll keep it brief and leave some time to address questions that are popping up from the community. But I mean, I've been interested in decentralized implementation software systems since the late 90s when the internet came out. It was clear that putting strong encryption and distributed processing together was the right thing to do, to make deployments of all sorts of software processes that not owned and controlled by any one party, but were like the internet itself, owned and controlled in a collective way. I didn't foresee that decentralized money would be where things would start with the sort of marriage of strong encryption and distributed processing. If I'd seen that, I would have been Satoshi, and I'd be much wealthier now, right? But of course, in hindsight, it makes a lot of sense. Among other things, blockchain is an amazing underpinning for digital. What I've found interesting as blockchain has developed is, while there's a bunch of cool applications running in the blockchain now, doing a variety of different things, and we have some in SingularityNET ecosystem for decentralized AI, for decentralizing handling of private medical data, for aspects of DeFi, for sharing processing power. The actual use of blockchain for digital money, the use of blockchain for digital money has actually not advanced as well as one would have thought. And I mean, of course, there's Bitcoin, which is very interesting as an investment instrument, and it's been for much of its life somewhat uncorrelated with other major financial instruments and so forth. And it's amazing the way Bitcoin has grown. But I mean, in the end, there's a lot of issues with Bitcoin as a practical financial instrument, right? So I mean, it's extremely volatile, and transaction cost is high, right? So I mean, what it means is, in many ways, Bitcoin is still a lot worse than using US dollar or even using phone minutes or something, as they do in some countries, right? And so then, well, someone will not stop calling me. How do you solve these problems? Well, the issue of costly transactions is one point, right? And we're working on that in Singularity ecosystem with Hypercycle, that ledgerless blockchain that brings high throughput, low cost transactions. So that's a sort of blockchain plumbing issue, which we, as well as others, are working on. But the issue of volatility is different, right? That's not immediately an issue of software design. That's an issue of, the software design and functional engineering meets market dynamics. And so the solution the blockchain space has found to that problem is, hey, let's pin crypto to fiat, right? And so you get stablecoins, you get USDT, USDC, you get JED and Cardano, a whole bunch of stablecoins. So that's not a bad thing. I mean, I use them too. Obviously, they have their function, and they do come up with something that's to greater or lesser degree decentralized, depending on the particular stablecoin that you're talking about, but that is as stable, roughly speaking, as fiat currencies. I mean, we've seen tagging of USDC not long ago. They're not totally stable. They're certainly not volatile in the way that a Bitcoin or Ethereum or AGIX has been, right? But the problem here, of course, is, if the goal is to make something that's fundamentally decentralized and not under the control of governments and corporations, pinning your decentralized currency to fiat, I mean, what are you doing? You're basically making it a quasi-decentralized CBDC, right? I mean, it's not really in the spirit of doing something new that's fundamentally decentralized and under democratic participatory control. So then what you should do, you should pair your new super efficient, low-cost, high bandwidth blockchain plumbing, like we're building in Hypercycle and working on. I mean, you should pair that with something that achieves relative stability all on its own without having to pin to a fiat currency. And I mean, the need for this is very clear now, given recent happenings in the global economy, right? Like, many countries are moving away from the US as a US dollar as a default sort of global reserve and exchange currency, and even looking at RMB as an alternative. But I mean, RMB is totally manipulated by Chinese government. Now, US dollar, it's been recently artificially inflated by US government. So the notion that fees define stability is a bit weird to me, that people think that way, right? So the brainstorm behind Cogito was, you don't need to pin to fiat. You can pin an algorithmic stablecoin to something else that's more stable than fiat, right? So Cogito Gcoin, the first example of that. You're taking indices that measure progress on fixing the environment, right? And there's a bunch of engine and other objective-ish third parties that are outputting numbers measuring progress and cleaning up the environment. Take a transparent, openly defined weighted average of those, and pin your algorithmic stablecoin to that, and you can then get something in a way that's more stable than fiat, in the sense that if you look at how much Gcoin it takes to buy like a standard collection of goods that a person might need, it may be that will come out less volatile than the amount of US dollar or RMB or euro it takes to buy that standard basket of goods. But then, of course, the green index we're basing the Gcoin on is one good example, but you can pin an algorithmic stablecoin to anything else. You can pin it to a measure of technological progress toward a singularity, which may be harder to pin to exactly because it's exponentially increasing, but has other properties, right? It should be exponentially increasing in terms of the value relative to a standard basket of goods. You can provide what we're calling as a service. So we decided the term stable too often interpreted to mean pinned to fiat instead of just the term tracer coin to mean an algorithmic token that traces a certain index. So you can launch tracer coin according to any objectively defined index that you can measure over time, and different parties might have a reason to define different stable tracer coins, and so that's what we call a tracer coin as a service, which is one direction we're going to go in. So I think there's a huge potential here. I mean, this was definitely a case of starting a company and a project to solve a problem that we concretely had, right? Because I mean, we have an AI marketplace on SingularityNET. We're offering AI services for people to use for money, and we have a problem. Look, some people, for the needs of their own business, they don't want something as volatile as AGIX is for all of their payments, right? And they, on the other hand, they don't want a recourse to fiat either, because that's not when they got into the crypto world. So within SingularityNET ourselves, we wanted something to complement AGIX so will be more stable in the whole spirit of the crypto ecosystem. And pretty much every other crypto project that's actually offering real services for payment to customers has different versions of that same issue. So yeah, I mean, Janet, you asked what's most exciting to me about all this. I mean, the ideas, the concepts are exciting, but what's most exciting is that we're actually doing it, right? I mean, we've built a whole bunch of the Gcoin infrastructure. We're actually on a very clear path to the thing now, and I think we can gradually build adoption within the crypto world, but then this can be something that brings crypto to the broader market by giving, a fundamentally better way of storing value and paying for services than what we've had before. So I think this can become the default way to pay for stuff within crypto, but it can also be perhaps the first time that crypto really solves the problem how to save your funds and how to pay for stuff in the broader world outside the narrowly construed crypto ecosystem. I mean, Facebook DM, which some people would recall, wanted to solve that problem. There were some smart things behind it, but in the end, centrally controlled by a company, even if with some levels of indirection, and really tied to one superpower country where Facebook is hosted. These weren't what the world wants for a decentralized crypto payment and value storage solution. I think Cogito does meet a whole lot of broad-based needs in the real world as well as within crypto, and it's amazing to really be rolling this out now.
It is amazing. Thank you. And it is great the way we've built so much of the infrastructure for it. And Clarice will maybe talk us through what's been built and where we're going, what our future milestones are. But thank you, Ben. Let's go to the questions from our community. Thank you, everyone who took your time to submit questions. Before I head into answering the questions, I would just like to say we've got some questions in about the KYC and launch processes for the TGE next week. And what I would ask you to do for those, please, is take those to the Cogito Telegram channel, because the admins there, they're answering them over and over, and they'll be more than capable of answering your questions in a very timely manner. So moving on to more specific questions, we have a question from somebody called either Maddie or Mady. Apologies if I've mispronounced that, but Mady, I'm going to start with. Going to go with asks, you are using centralized data to stabilize Gcoin and maybe future tracer coins. How does that work, and how do you mitigate the risks? So that's a question for Nate or Cloris or both to come in on.
Sure. Okay, I'll get on it. Like, first of all, the way Cogito protocol works is, of course, creating their own currency, basically, which is, if you're in crypto and in DeFi, you cannot really, I mean, you're not regulated by some kind of central bank. So the way how we gain trust is by making our code open source and everything as public as possible, so people can actually see what we're doing, and we are basically regulated by users, by the people. So we will have maximum transparency with the index as well. Regarding the index, like, yes, we are like collecting data from mostly centralized sources, which is how it is. Like, the reason is that it's really hard to find like trustable decentralized source that would like just people randomly adding the data. How do you know that this is not manipulated or spammed or whatever? So we're trying to get like the most trustworthy sources. Now, trustworthy is, yeah, it's of course something that we can argue what this means, but we're looking at the biggest organizations and maybe also like of all of different countries what they're posing. Like World Bank is one example, OECD, and so on. But for example, also measuring stations that are measuring all of the air and temperatures around the world. They're from different countries, so of course one country might lie, but we are expecting not all of them will lie with the data that they are providing. Now, on top of that, we are looking at around 40 different indicators. So all of those 40 indicators are coming from different sources. And there is an expectation that not every source, or at least like there might be few sources that, even though they are like very reputable, they might still lie, but we expect that not all of them would lie, because this would be a very strange situation. And of course, then we are just aggregating this data. Everybody will see the exact way how do we calculate the index, and everybody can actually get the latest data from all of those sources as well, since this data is public, which means that this is quite in line with the transparency that we are, as you know, DeFi project bringing. Like, everybody has like a nice overview of what we're doing. Everybody can comment and even criticize if they think that there's a better way to measure the progress. Now, also the progress that we're measuring, it's not really made up. It's the progress that humanity is actually working towards the climate change. This is for the Gcoin that is coming up, and it's like our most immediate product. So all of this is, of course, explained as like, okay, there is actual progress that is happening, measurable as good as we can by the sources that are available in real time and from everywhere. So we will also show that this is not really something that we're just like making up some numbers. Like, these are actually numbers that are adding to the climate change. And of course, if you want to help fight against climate change, you're of course incentivized to do so by holding Gcoin as well, or at least like vote for the right officials that are making the big rules and similar stuff. So all of this stuff is roughly, this is how it works. And of course, once we calculate everything, we also put the calculations on chain, and everybody can reverse engineer those calculations as well. So this is the part that we're talking about, the transparency. So hope that's understandable.
Yeah, I think that explains it very, very well. Thank you, Nate. Cloris, did you have anything to add to Nate's extremely clear explanation?
I would say that was very clear. I don't think I have any more information to add.
Yeah, perfect. He covered it in exactly the right level of detail.
Exactly.
For our pretty technical audience that we often have at SingularityNET. So thank you. Ben, this is a question I'm going to ask you as the mastermind and visionary leader of the whole SingularityNET ecosystem. So a question Nate, not our Nate, another Nate, asks, why was Cogito not launched under Singularity DAO to bring more value to that DAO? Why did we decide to have two separate spin-offs for the Tracer coin and for Singularity DAO?
I mean, that's a judgment call. I would say, but I think the two projects have somewhat different audiences and properties. So I mean, Singularity DAO aiming to bring AI to DeFi in various ways, and in particular, the original mandate was bringing AI to DeFi regarding sort of mid liquidity altcoins. I mean, we're still on the roadmap to get there, but we have the infrastructure of Dynasets there, and we're using some AI along with the human traders guidance to trade the Dynaset. So that we really viewed as bringing AI to decentralized finance, and in particular regarding lower liquidity alts. With Cogito, the thinking was not so much something just to serve the DeFi world, which is a quite big world in itself, obviously, but it was to make something that would be useful as a value store and payment mechanism, globally, including maybe being adopted by developing countries as the main mechanism of payment in their countries, because there's a lot of countries where their own currency is wildly volatile, but they would rather not have to use the currency of some other country as their default. But it's that market wasn't necessarily DeFi oriented, and so it seemed like there's separate constituency that you're addressing. But anyway, rightly or wrongly, that was the reasoning.
I think it makes great sense to me. They're very different use cases. And of course, we'll be complementary partners as part of our ecosystem working together as we go forwards. So next question I'm going to ask is from Crypto. Hi, Crypto. Crypto asked about the DAO timeline for Cogito. How long will it take for people to actually vote on decisions like treasury diversification and token burning? What are the DAO plans and timeline? Cloris, I'll hand over to you to answer this one, and I guess you can also run us through again what the CGV token is, what its benefits are, and alongside the timeline.
For sure. Thank you, Janet, and thank you, Crypto, for the question. So first of all, by asking that question, I assume everyone knows that we are going to be a fully DAO governed project. Basically, our token holders will be able to decide on most of the strategic decisions, for example, like our index management, our treasury management strategy, and our, for example, mint and burn parameters. And another very important feature that most people are interested is our buyback and burn mechanism, which means going forward, whether the DAO will vote to use some of the revenue from the project to buy back the tokens from the market and burn it to reduce the circulating supply. So these are all the very important decisions that a project needs to make along the roadmap, and all these decisions will be made connectively by the DAO. So in terms of when we will be enabling this, according to we have outlined our roadmap. So currently we will be launching our CGV on 2nd of June, and then in about 6 months, in the first quarter of next year, which I hope can happen earlier, considering that we have been developing ahead of our roadmap for the past 6 months. Perhaps every time when I say we are going to deliver something in the next quarter, we actually delivered it beforehand. So the track record has been there. So we expect to have a CGV staking in about 6 months. And from that moment onwards, we'll be gradually transition to a DAO governance in terms of making all the decisions that I mentioned just now. So to answer the question, when will the DAO governance start to kick in to govern all the decisions? It will start as long as our latest staking go effective, and that will be updated to the community as we develop. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. I just want to say a bit of a shout out to all the people who are having great live chat on the YouTube channel. Thank you all. It's brilliant to have you here. It's great to have you here. Minestrone, wishing us all the success in the world. Among the only people in AI with a firm grip on conscience and morals. I want to say thank you, Minestrone, for that. And I want to say thank you to Mastery, Madima Rose, Ralph Ups, for your questions and for your comments here. Let's say greetings from Poland. Hi, Piotr, nice to meet you. Mastery, we all love this guy, Ben. It's great to see him here. And yeah. Polona, thank you very much for thanking us for taking the time to do this AMA. That's super good of you to acknowledge. Right, so let me come back to, we have a couple more questions that have come in now. I'm going to go to, this question came in without a name, but thank you, whoever you are, for submitting it. It says, what does the COTI partnership mean in the normal terms? They're also offering a stable coin called JED. And will we have to choose between a tracer coin and their stable coin?
Oh, I love this question. Let me take this one.
It's all yours.
Why do we need to choose if we can have both? Right? Simple answer is that, like, the industry is big enough to have more than 2 or even 3 stable coins in the world. Better if we have more than that and we just dominate the entire world with stable coins, right? So hope that answers the second question. Like, do we need to choose? No, we don't. And what does the partnership in normal terms? So we have formed this partnership to promote future adoption of our tracer coins and also usage of the AI technology of SingularityNET. So these are the 2 main use cases, I would say, on the broader term. For example, like both of us will be needing to manage our treasury and then stabilize our stable coins, and then this can all be assisted by the AI models. So we expect to use this technology together. Yes, so this is on the AI side, and on the adoption side. So as you guys know, like in crypto, right? So when we want to facilitate trading or other activities, so we want to have like different trading pairs. So by including each other in our treasury, by facilitating trading pairs between the stable coins, it will help us to improve the stability of our tokens as well. So that's another the level of collaboration that we can have. So this basically is what we are trying to achieve through this from this partnership.
Fantastic, thank you. And it's a brilliant partnership to have closed in our early days, and shows the strength of the proposition which we are leading out here at Cogito. Now I have a question from Ralph Apps. Thank you so much for your question and your comments. I'm not 100% sure I'm interpreting it correctly. Myself and Nate have been debating in the chat how to make sure we're answering your question right. So if we're interpreting your question wrong, just chat us and we'll be watching your chat as we go, Ralph Apps. So Ralph asks, AI is so good at numbers that will we have to find another way of trending the markets? And I think what he possibly means is, with AI getting so good at predicting and being able to do automated trading, will humans need to find a different way of trading the markets with AI or against AI? But Nate, you're our master in this field. What are your thoughts both on the question and the answer?
AI is a new and evolving technology that will definitely change how everything works. And there were other new technologies that came into the financial world before, and each one of them changed basically how we do finance and how we trade. So definitely AI will have the effect on that. Now, how exactly it will affect, it will probably automate a big part, but I'm imagining that at least until sometime there will be a human behind it. And then in the future, when AGI happens, I don't know, then everything becomes so unpredictable that it's hard to make any predictions of the future. I guess Ben could tell what happens when this time hits. But yeah, there will definitely be new methods as the AI gets smarter. Because as the AI gets smarter, it gets smarter at recognizing the patterns, which means that there are new patterns evolving. As somebody trades with the new patterns, this means that somebody else is losing. Usually in finance, well, there are cases where everybody wins, but it means that there will be also new methods of trading. Yeah, that's for sure. And they will likely at the beginning just complement the old ones, and what happens later we'll see. We'll see to what degree the AI algorithms will dominate the markets, how powerful they will be.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, and pleased you brought AGI into it because, of course,
Yeah, and I would add on that one, if I may. I mean, that's an important question. It's not that much of a Cogito question, right? I mean, I think in large part in financial markets already, quantitative finance algorithms, including machine learning algorithms, are more profitable than average retail traders. And it's often said the function of retail traders in conventional finance is just to feed more profits to the folks running the sophisticated so we're already well on the path there for quite some time in conventional finance. In crypto, it's been less so because there hasn't been the right kind of training data to feed algorithms. But as crypto market matures and AI gets smarter, that will increasingly be true in crypto as well. For Cogito, on the other hand, it's a straight out benefit, right? Because our use for quantitative models and methods and our use for AI methods is on the back end to help achieve stabilization of the token around the synthetic index. And the smarter AI we can put behind that down the road, I mean, then the less cost there is in maintaining the stability and the better Cogito function. So it's true for like retail traders who are looking to make a profit by outsmarting the market. It will get harder and harder to outsmart the market. Human intuition as AIs get smarter and smarter, and as the data situation in the crypto market matures, so that AIs have more to go on, right? But that's for Cogito. All the advance of AI means is you get cheaper and cheaper stabilization relative to the indices, and I mean, in the end, you can compute smarter and smarter indices also in more sophisticated ways than our initial ones, right? So for this particular project, AI will just make it easier and cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just add, like in DeFi in general, like as Ben said, the AI is underutilized, while in traditional finance, quantitative methods that are using AI are doing most of the trading already. Like humans are still there, but they have specific strategies, and in the future, AI can compete even with those remaining strategies that humans still have. But in DeFi, there's still a lot of space for AI to grow and dominate. And as Ben said, it's all about profit. AI will bring bigger profit than the human trading. So yeah, that's something where we have like quite a nice advantage.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much indeed, gents. I've got a question from Medina Rose. Thank you so much for your question, Medina. Again, we need to make sure we're actually interpreting the question correctly. But you ask, can you apply the same principles to a secured, decentralized voting system? There is a need. Now, we're just debating here which principles you're talking about. But Cloris, would you like to have a go at this one?
So the question is like, can we apply the same principle to the centralized? Can you elaborate more about the question?
Yeah, well. Maybe let's ask Medina.
I think there's a pretty clear answer, Janet, which is probably.
Please go ahead.
I think decentralized voting is really important to get right, and Cogito will need it because we want to have democratic governance in an increasingly sophisticated way as the ecosystem evolves. But in the end, I think the key to effective decentralized governance is probably an effective reputation system. So you can, I mean, you in the end, you don't want everything to be $1, one vote, and you don't want everything to be one human, one vote. I mean, you want to have a way of assessing the reputation based on the amount that a certain entity has contributed to a certain ecosystem, and have voting and decision making based on that. And I mean, that's important. Cogito will collaborate with other SingularityNET ecosystem projects in working out better and better methods for decentralized governance, because Cogito will definitely need that if it's going to be the world currency framework. But the algorithmic process of sort of pinning a token to a synthetic index is, as far as I can tell, it's a different thing than the principles you need for democratic governance. I mean, unless whoever asks the question has an innovative idea for connecting them that we haven't, which is entirely possible.
Well, if you do, Medina Rose says, thank you, Dr. Ben. So I guess you've answered the question there, which is helpful. Pin, question for you, please. Who is it has asked this one? Is it Jordan Price has asked? Oh, Piotr. Hi, Piotr. Piotr Crook has asked, when is the next project update possible, please? And I'll add on to that question. I'll add latest question just in from Jordan Price, says, where can I read more about it? So tell us where to go to learn more and when.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. I mean, we have our Telegram, official Telegram channel. Just to take note, there are a few fake Telegram channels. So make sure you go to the official one. So how do you possibly go to the official one? You can just go to cogitoprotocol.com, and from there you just scroll all the way to the bottom. You click on the Telegram, and that will bring you to the right Cogito Telegram channel. So that is one way you can get information about the latest updates. The other source of information, we will be always posting it on our Twitter for announcements. So these are two main channels that we'll be giving updates and official updates from. Yeah.
Thanks very much indeed. And certainly we are at Cogito Protocol, a very highly prolific communicator. The marketing has been very helpful, lots and lots of information, lots and lots of coverage across a number of different channels. So thanks to all of you who have been getting involved, who've been liking, who've been retweeting, who've been QTing, who've been commenting on our Telegram channel. We are absolutely honored to have you as our community. Thank you for your engagement. And I just want to say hi to Quirky Data, who says, love you guys. Thank you, Quirky Data. We love you too. Keep it coming. Thanks for joining us tonight. So question, we're just at the last question now. So I'm going to close it out with this one, which is, what do you all think of these new POUW networks like Dynex and Flux being used for model learning? And how would SingularityNET fit in with this? But really, we want to answer for Cogito. This is a Cogito session. Nate, would you like to give that one a go, or Ben? We'll start with Nate.
I mean, these are, I can, unless Nate has something special to say on it. I mean, this really isn't about Cogito too much, right? I mean, these are alternate blockchain protocols which tie together AI and blockchain in reasonably interesting ways. I think that their architecture on the whole is more like, say, Cortex or Deep Brain Chain, to go back to some earlier entrants, and that they're tied specific forms of AI or hybrid AI human computation in with the blockchain in a tighter way than we've chosen to do with SingularityNET or NewNet or so. We sort of tried to design things in quite discrete modular layers. So we're not wiring into NewNet or SingularityNet or Hypercycle any particular AI paradigm, like neuromorphic or not neuromorphic, or human participating or totally automated. We're trying not to wire that into the lower level protocol and platforms, even though we have a lot of our ideas about how to do AI, like with the OpenCog Hyperon system and with our own large language models and Zarka and so on. So we wanted to keep those separate because it seemed like that would be best for long-term growth, because you just don't know what other weird AI methods people are going to come up with that might on these platforms and leverage them. I'd say Dynex and Flux sort of they're quite different, but I mean, one is neuromorphic, the other is sort of people-powered, but they wire in specific assumptions about how the learning is done more tightly connected with their blockchain model. And I would rather not do it that way. I'd rather have discrete modular layers just from a software design perspective. I mean, from a Cogito view, we're definitely starting out using SingularityNET and AGIX token, and then Hypercycle once it's ready to run the underlying AI to power the algorithmic stabilization on Cogito. I mean, initially we don't need super sophisticated AI anyway. As we roll out more and more sophisticated AI, we'll run it on the SingularityNet ecosystem forms. I mean, that said, in the possible world where Dynex came up with something that was the smartest thing in the world and would help us so much with algorithmic stabilization, I mean, there's no reason that Cogito couldn't leverage that on the back end also, right? I mean, it's an open modular architecture that can leverage whatever works best.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ben, for that clear answer. And Financial Failure, who asked the question, said, thanks for the answer. What you said makes sense. So it's great to know we're making sense here. Folks, we are out of time and we're also out of questions. So I'd like to say thank you to you all for tuning in. Thank you to those of you who will follow afterwards. Thank you to Manga Desire for your lovely comments. And thank you to Nefertiti. Lovely to see you here for your comments. Thanks all very much indeed. Please do join our Telegram group if you're not already on our Telegram group. Please follow Twitter for updates on the TGE, and let's all keep watching very, very closely while we're very excited for the launch and for what comes next. Keep retweeting, keep QTing. We are very appreciative of all of your engagement, and it's a decentralized project to make a better world, decentralized access to wealth, and really improve the DeFi financial system. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Medima Rose. Thank you, Mastery. You beauties, you beauty. On that beautiful note, thanks all you beauties, says Mastery. We will say goodbye to everyone. Thanks all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.